No, you go ahead.
Well, okay.
Before we go into spoilers.
No, I want to start the spoilers.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so thank you for that. And now we are going into the spoiler section. And for realsies, if you happen to see this video without seeing it, please, to retain the full impact of the film, go and see it before you watch these spoilers section. So end right there, and then if you've already seen it, if you're one of the elites, because you knew you were going to see it on day one, you wanted to see it on Thursday, you wanted to see it on Friday, welcome to the spoiler section, and welcome back if you're watching the video after a few days or weeks, and we can talk now. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I want to make sure it's like, look, we joke and we're like, spoilers now, but like the cameos and some of the twists and turns in this movie really provide a ton of the impact. And I can absolutely see a bunch of people going like, it was okay if everything is spoiled for them. So I think it is really important.
Yeah. That is definitely a part of its charm, is being like, oh, fuck. It's, well, we're in spoilers, so you can be like, oh, we are all expecting Captain America, and then it's fucking...
It really, yeah.
And I don't feel like that would have the same impact on me if I knew beforehand.
Chris Evans is in this film, and at some point, Wolverine and Deadpool get sent to the Shadow Realm, whatever the fuck they call it, with the Void, with the shadow, purple shadow creature, CGI monster that kills everything. And they end up meeting a group of characters, the variants that are hiding out here. And the fact of the variants can let them play with whatever they want to play with. We've seen a little bit of this in the Loki television series. They go full on here. We are movie budget. We are movie prestige. So people that would normally say no to a TV show would say yes to a movie. So one of those people is Chris Evans. Initially, he is in a hood. He's dirty, but you could tell there's blue, there's red, and there's white, and you're like, whoa.
He does the hero landing. It's like, that's Cap.
Get the fuck. And the big man, calling him the big man. Yeah. But then he ends up surprising everybody, and when it's like, say the thing, and Deadpool thinks he's going to say Avengers Assemble or whatever, and he ends up saying Flame On. And it's hilarious as hell, because it plays on the fact that it's Johnny Storm, and Chris Evans did in fact play Johnny Storm.
Yeah, I completely
in fantastic form.
Forgot,
so it was just great, and man, it's so funny. Chris Evans does a great performance, tries to emulate his terrible accent that he was using before, and his mannerisms and the way he talks. And Deadpool really sells him out to the main villain of the film, which she gets so pissed because he's talking all this shit, and Deadpool said he was talking all this shit, so she fucking rips his skin off, and he comes into a pile of bones. And it's a running joke throughout the film that, and Wolverine's like, what, pointing it out.
Yeah, he's like,
but
you murdered him.
If you stay, we won't say right away. We'll save it for the end. But there's an after-credit scene that you have to wait for the entire credits. So there's a mid-credit scene, and the mid-credit scene is amazing. It is clips of pretty much every Fox.
Yeah.
Even Disney, even,
little behind the scenes
footage.
Yeah.
Seeing how young Hugh Jackman was when he was playing Wolverine. Seeing that Ryan Reynolds did in fact play Deadpool before he played Deadpool. And he'd always want to. And this takes me back all those years, 10, 20 years ago, when all this was starting. And I was like, man, that's our guy. Hopefully you get it. And then we saw what that original Deadpool was, which was hilarious, and they've made jokes on that before in the last film, shooting them and stuff. But this one is kind of a love letter to it. And so that was the first big one. What other ones we got?
Oh, you want to go list all the cameos?
Yeah.
I mean, Blade, like Wesley Snipes showing up his Blade was just so incredible.
First off, there's a resistance group that is a separate part. You have essentially Charles Xavier's twin. I don't know nothing about no Cassandra Nova or whatever her name is. And actually, she said it so fast. So a person who isn't a comic book person, a person who doesn't know all the deep lore of this kind of stuff, would probably be lost. I would imagine if you haven't been watching comic book movies for 20 years, and I probably should have said this in the review, I'd imagine you could be 8, 9. I don't really see 6 or 7. That's not. I don't see that. I do see 8 or 9 or something like that. It's maybe 7 if you're like not into comic book movies at all. So I don't know much about her. And what did she say? What was the thing about the umbilical cord?
She tried to kill him with the umbilical cord.
Okay, because I thought she was saying that Xavier tried to kill her, and that's how that's why she's all mad.
Yeah, that's why she turned evil.
But in this variant,
she's just a bad egg.
She killed this variant in her world. Maybe she killed Xavier.
Well, she was transported there as an infant.
Yeah.
So she's been in the void since she was a baby. So
So they knew right away that it's like we got to take this ultra powerful evil bitch and put her in the void. Okay, and she had killed Charles Xavier as a baby in the womb before anything could even happen. I kept thinking, wait, we might get a Patrick Stewart, cameo shows up and puts her in her place. But that man's tired. That man's tired of fucking playing Xavier.
The last time he did a cameo, got his neck snapped.
Yeah, so that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, in the ending credits, I was like, oh my God, Patrick Stewart is so young.
Seeing him, all right, and her powers are really fucking cool. Is that she's like, in order to read your mind, she puts her finger. She like, I like to get dirty, and then put it in there, and like it comes through people's faces, and I think it's hilarious when she's doing it to Mr. Paradox, who is this TVA agent, which kind of serves as the sub villain or another villain, but she's just like moving his body like a little rag doll, just dragging him and stuff. It's like brutal and interesting, and for somebody without superpowers and without immediate regen powers, he'd be dead. But we won't talk about that. Maybe
it's
Paradox
psychic
has
fingers. It's not physical fingers.
There you go.
They're psychic fingers.
Maybe. I think they're physical and real. That would have been better and more brutal. But yeah, so you got that. And then so of the separate faction, eventually Deadpool and Wolverine run into Dogpool, and this is ugly Dogpool, and they have a moment, and people who love ugly dogs are gonna love this moment. And to me, I'm like, that dog is just too ugly for me. I'm not into it.
That was an especially ugly dog.
Yeah. Especially. And then it turns out that this ugly pool dog is owned by Handsome Pool. This is a Ryan Reynolds without a mask, his perfect face. And he's just a nice guy. He doesn't really do, but he's
like
got
Canadian. He does the sorry.
Sorry, he's got the golden guns. Deadpool's like, can I have those right away? And he's like, no, over my dead body. And it's okay. So it's gonna happen at some point. They telegraph it. But eventually, they take. He helps them out. Apparently, there's lots of Deadpools. They say in this because Deadpool is just one of those aberrations that always ends up in the void. And but he helps them and gives them a fucking what kind of car?
A Honda Odyssey
minivan.
An ongoing joke. A lot of the jokes hit in this, and I really enjoyed.
Callback.
More often than not, I think I was like not laughing 80 to 90% of the time. And when a movie is doing that, it's just such an entertaining ride. So eventually they get into a fight, and so this is a buddy film, constantly talking shit. Eventually, fucking Hugh Jackman gets fucking sick of it.
Lets him have it.
Let's fucking go. They got a great fucking... there's actual competitions of fighting in cars now. It's like on, I guess, Russian channels and things like that. So they're fighting in the fucking car. And but eventually they get knocked out and they get taken to a underground, resistance. And this is where we get a ton of cameos. So first cameo... Elektra. It's like I did not expect Elektra, and it's like such a cheesy tongue-in-cheek thing. But man, she's playing it like, hey man, I was a badass back in my day, and I'm like, all right, good for you,
I watched the Netflix series.
Although they play with everything too, because even they mentioned Daredevil dying, and she's just like, yeah, that wasn't all that. Because everything is a joke in this, and so as long as someone is not clapping next to you like a goddamn seal.
Yeah, her relationship with Ben Affleck is
it's so like there was a lot of times, especially when one of the next cameos that comes up, we have fucking Channing Tatum as Gambit comes through.
This was amazing.
That came from left field.
Yeah, it was totally
No. It's not from left field. So I have one of me and Joe's friends from childhood is Angel. He's been in like the Deus Ex review and a few reviews. And Angel has always wanted the Gambit film. And, you know, and way back in the day, we heard about this Channing Tatum Gambit project, and it just obviously never came to fruition.
Yeah, but it's such a deep cut that, like, that's why it kind of came out of...
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, cool, they just chose Channing Tatum because he's in those parody movies. No, at one point, they seriously considered him for Gambit, and now we kind of know why that movie fell apart.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's purposeful or not, but he's doing a Cajun accent, and it's rough,
Creole,
and it's funny as fuck when you can hear it. As long as someone next to you is not doing this while he's talking. But that didn't happen a ton when we were watching it.
It was masterful because it was done on purpose. He's doing the overtop version of the Gambit, but it was really cool to see and live action. You know, comic accurate Gambit costume. Though it does look ridiculous on Channing Tatum's head because his head's a little fatter these days. And look, I got a fat head too. I'm not trying to say nothing, but you know that Gambit headpiece needs a skinny head right there. So
I was just happy to see a live action Gambit.
Yeah. Me too.
It was very cool.
I mean, we've seen that in the Fox ones, and I'm like, that's not Gambit. And Angel was like, that's not Gambit.
No, cards, blowing shit up. That's fucking Gambit with his fucking staff. Blowing shit up.
We get to see his staff, too. His staff, when it touches something, it explodes. I'm like, that is a powerful move. And it just, I wish we could have seen Gambit but we get to see him here. Yeah. But Alex mentioned fucking Blade, and this is
Wesley
Blade. It is Wesley. It's not a look-alike. It's not, you know, a generic Blade from a TV show or something. And it's not the new Blade, whatever his name is, that film has been losing the director and writers and then rewrites and then rewrites and rewrites. No, this is the original Blade. And motherfuckers are still trying to skate uphill. And I was hoping, motherfucker, you out of your mind? That's what I was hoping for, but we didn't get that one. And he looks good. He looks fucking good. And he gets his moments. So all of these, okay. And then, so Elektra, Blade, Gambit, Channing Tatum Gambit. And then the last one is X-24. Daphne.
X-23,
23, right? And she, from Logan specifically. And it is the character from Logan specifically where Logan had given her a chance to live. And so that has that emotional tie. If you've seen Logan, you care more about it. If you haven't seen Logan, again, the film's not a 10, it's not a 9. I can get it. But it is, it's a lot of fun. And all four of these characters get their moments in a fight because eventually they're like, all right, well, let's just go kick her ass. Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, but you saw how powerful she is. It's not possible unless she just kind of lets y'all do it. And she lets y'all do it, you know, doing the big fight sequence. Who do they fight?
Well, they had to get the Juggernaut helmet.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we get the shitty Juggernaut version from Fox. One of the Fox films.
I wasn't
the original guy. They couldn't get back.
Yeah, Bullet Tooth Tony's not there. Yeah.
Bullet Tooth Tony, I forget his actor's name, but it's like, no, we need the Juggernaut. So although we couldn't get the actor, we're not going to make this somebody else. So it's character-wise, the actor-wise is somebody else's Juggernaut. There's a motherfucking Nightcrawler. I don't know who this is.
That's Azazel. That's Mystique's dad.
Okay, got it. Cool. I wish we'd seen more about that. We also got the original Toad.
Yeah.
Darth Maul himself. Yes. Ray is in the film doing his tongue thing. You know what happens to frogs in Toad in a storm, lightning storm. Yeah, the same thing as everything else. And he dies in this.
Yeah.
And fuck, they all die.
Brutally, I think it's Blade that like chops him up into little pieces. It's like, god damn,
his tongue gets all chopped up. It's
all of these cameos get their time to shine, which is really nice. Because if you like Wesley Snipes' Blade, which I love seeing him kick people's ass. If you like Gambit, seeing him in live action was super satisfying.
The fighting,
I don't think anyone loves Elektra, but she did. Elektra stuff, but it was fun.
And it's funny that Deadpool's there, and Channing Tatum is a ridiculous version of Gambit and his accent, because Deadpool, of course, can accentuate that and make it even better by constantly referencing how he has no fucking idea of what he just said. And Blade gets multiple moments. In fact, has a fucking. They make reference that other Marvel characters have been a part of this underground group. Punisher, who had gotten killed, Johnny Blaze, who obviously just died.
Daredevil was the big one.
Daredevil was a part of the group. I think there was maybe one more.
See, that's the whole thing with the multiverse. It just can be anything, anyone. That's that's my kind of main nitpick thing. Is it's just kind of like you said, you can't look too far into the plot because it's like anything's up for grabs in the multiverse.
I agree with you totally. Like, I'm so tired. I've been tired of multiverse and stuff for a long time because there's no weight to it, right?
Yeah.
But I think this was kind of the anti-multiverse one where they're like, look,
and they played off of
we're going to make this as ridiculous and fan servicey as possible. And it's like, look, I'm in.
They acknowledge it.
Yeah.
When you lean into it, you know, how Joe always says, it's like, you know, I wish they did more or pushed more or, you know, and made it. Oh, and this is what that is.
Definitely.
Blade fires a motherfucking rocket, and you know they keep saying, "Oh yeah, this guy's a variant." Oh, there's tons of Deadpools, and Wesley Snipes says, "No, in my contract, there is only one Blade,
and there will only ever be one Blade."
And that's what he said. Yeah, and he said, "There's only one Blade, and there will only ever be one Blade." Right at the camera, Deadpool looks straight at the camera, goes.
Mic drop.
And it's just so much more poignant because of all the problems that are happening at the new Blade movie. I wonder how that actor who's playing Blade is going to react to that. But he's got to just roll with it. You know, he's like, oh, he's having fun.
This makes fun of everything. And, like, stuff, even, like, Furiosa. It's making fun of Furiosa. And, like, so there's some, like, really topical stuff. Look, I watch all of the fucking media. Like, all of it. And so because I've watched all of it, like, all of these jokes hit. There's going to be people in your life. Like, you take your mom who doesn't watch any of these fucking movies.
Nah, this is 7-6.
And then she's like, oh, they cursed a lot. And I didn't get any of the things to say.
There's a lot of blood.
But if you get the references, which is kind of the whole Deadpool shtick, like, if you're
a child of media like us and comic book movies and fucking movies in general, there's Mad Max, there's Fury Road, there's Furiosa. I mean, even one of the cars they're driving around looks exactly like, you know, the cars in the recent Furiosa. There's one that looks like the other one with Tom Hardy. And we had a Sabretooth cameo as well. So Sabretooth comes and just, you know, it's like Wolverine can smell him right away, and these two are rivals. So they have a fight, but fucking Wolverine fucks him up.
Dude, I love how Wolverine, he does like the stance.
Yeah,
he
does the stance.
Low, and then he like when he first like does the claw crawls, it's like you get chills.
Does the actual Wolverine moves? He's got the fucking at one point puts a mask on. That's when the audience started clapping.
The mask looked a little weird after like when he was doing like the when he was like taking his shirt off or whatever.
There's one moment where right before the final climax, they have one moment, and it's because Hugh Jackman is looking at him. It's like a side profile shot. It wasn't a flattering shot of the white eye effect on the mask. So if they had turned the camera a slight bit and made it more full on, then it would have looked better. But it's like, they're unafraid. It's like, this is what the mask looks like at that angle. I don't give a fuck. You know? And so, honestly, I kind of respect it a little bit. And, you know, it looks good when it looks good. And it was awesome. And
it was very cool.
And so he takes care of business. Sabretooth is no match for this version of Wolverine. And, by the way, this is a variant Wolverine. So, the Wolverine in Logan, we do see him. Only his adamantium skeleton,
which was really cool. That was interesting. That was a very interesting idea, and
because Deadpool's like, no, you're not dead.
Him with the killing with every bone or whatever.
And this was the opening sequence I was referencing. It is Backstreet Boys, and as Deadpool is trying to find these Wolverines, the TVA are sending soldiers. And then start the credit sequence with the and he's like, oh well, I guess we will have a buddy team up thing. And he's like, nah, and he's like he's gonna desecrate the body basically, and actually gets claws at one point, and then stabs one guy in the ass and one guy in the balls, and then he can't get them. It's just hilarious. And the dance moves, boy, man, I want to dance that good. Man. And it just, you know,
you're like nodding your head. And you're like,
it has turned me into a Backstreet Boys fan. I remember, you know, like when all that shit came out, I hated it, right?
Yeah.
But over time, I've like grown nostalgic for that kind of stuff, and I remember Frederick, the CEO at the time of Paradox Interactive, you know, he would always sing Backstreet Boys, you know, at events and stuff, and at karaoke, and that's the exact song he chose, and so it had so much nostalgia for me, and it was just a great fucking time. And I didn't even have any beer. Man, I should have had some beers. But yeah, so they did a great sequence there. Sabretooth. Who else? But I want to
the fucking Cloud. I fucking hate that villain. What is it?
Yeah, the
one
cloud
that eats in the
effect.
void?
Yeah.
Aatrox or something. I don't know what it is.
I call him Aloth.
Aloth, yeah.
From a
He's
Marvel
like,
Snap player, he's the fucking worst card.
Oh,
Goddamn ever.
He is.
He just kills anything you play. That's what he is.
Oh.
And so I like just from that standpoint is why it's not why I gave it a 9, but from that standpoint, I'm like I hate that motherfucker.
Anytime there's a smoke monster like Galactus, you know, the way they treated Galactus in the past. Now we have a new Fantastic Four. In fact, they just tweeted out a cast photo. They just started filming. I don't think they're getting to Galactus yet, but
Pedro
they have
Pascal.
one. They have one more opportunity to get Galactus right, and hopefully they will in the future. Which we've seen actually some Eternals stuff that already have that, so that's good. All right, what else? So Juggernaut gets killed by his fucking Achilles tendons being fucking ripped to shreds, and then he just and he falls down and gets his head chopped off. So for the helmet, because how do you prevent a clone, not a clone, but a twin of Xavier Charles? You need Juggernaut's helmet.
It was cool to see A23 fight too, or X23 fight.
Yep.
She could put
She even put her sunglasses on from Logan, and man, just a lot of member berries, a lot of great satisfying moments. They had other characters, and you're going to have to go to the lore channels and the comic channels on YouTube. Highly recommend, you know, a bunch of them, you know, and for all the character cameos, because I don't know who some of these are.
Pyro's
Lady
in
with
there.
the whip
that
pulls X-23 down. Who is that? The pink.
That's Psylocke.
Psylocke.
Psylocke can do a fucking Wonder Woman whip and pull down.
I don't know.
I do think we do see a version of Psylocke, but not Olivia Munn, or who was it that played her?
Yeah, you're right. It's
not the correct actress, but a different version.
Yeah, and then what's the lady with from the other Logan film that all of the things come out of her fingernails?
Right.
I
don't know her name.
Deathstroke.
Lady Deathstroke.
Yeah. I think Lady Deathstroke.
Yeah.
So yeah, go to those channels. Heavy spoilers and Screen Crush and comics channels for those, because there was a ton of them, and it was great. What is it? Ant-Man is dead. At least one variant of Ant-Man. Obviously, you've seen that in the trailers.
Yeah, that's cool.
To good effect. Okay, what else? What else we can talk about? Lots to spoil.
I mean, so
what was the deficiency?
Yeah, the deficiency of the movies, it does sag kind of in the middle. Like
why?
It starts super strong. We have this amazing intro. We're setting everything up. We get the exposition reveal. He gets kind of sent to the void, and then there's, in my opinion, kind of a lull. It's like they kind of stop the fighting. They're not even really building the characters much. It's like I just don't know what they.
There's a spooky cloud coming.
Yeah, there's some stuff that just kind of happens, and so it is a little slower in the middle. But other than that, I don't have too many complaints. There's a long sequence where Wolverine and Prime Deadpool fight 100 other Deadpools, and it's not the tightest filmed, and it's not the tightest CGI, and I can see some people being kind of disappointed that some of you want to see some of these like iconic Deadpools, Deadpool variants do cooler stuff, or at least die in cooler ways. But I think it was fine. It was good enough.
Kidpool, floating Deadpool head guy, Ladypool, which apparently was voiced by his wife Blake Lively. Don't think the actress is actually in the costume. She's super sexy, whoever that one was. You have to figure out the body model there. They had Baby Pool. They had Cowboy Pool. They had Samurai Pool. They had a Scottish pool as well at some point. All
Samurai,
the pools, that pool, and then now I kind of forgot this character, Peter. Is that Bob?
No.
That's supposed to be Bob. It's just Peter.
Wait,
Peter was this guy.
That's not Bob?
No, that's not Bob.
Oh, my God. I thought that was Bob.
Yeah, I thought Bob. Yeah. No, Peter's just a dude that they kind of like fell in love with when they were putting X-Force together. And he's not powered. He's just a dude. And everyone's like, oh, my God, we all love Peter.
Maybe that's Peter's power. That everybody just likes Peter.
Yeah.
And I don't really find it funny because I wanted it to be Bob, you know, as a comic book fan and stuff. But it's like, okay. And that's kind of how they get out of that situation. As Wolverine and Deadpool tear through all 100 Deadpools that Cassandra Nova, you know, calls up to put as an obstacle in the way, they win ultimately, but then everybody gets up because they all have regeneration.
Except for beautiful.
Except for handsome which was hilarious. So well acted. Gives me vibes of, what is it, Fall Guy, the video game thing that he was, or not Fall Guy, but some other video game movie that Ryan Reynolds did.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets shot up and he doesn't have regeneration, so he dies and his head eventually explodes. This is great. Just good, entertaining, fun jokes. Takes the golden guns and does murder. But when they all get back up, they're like, oh, fuck, we're going to be fighting these people nonstop, never ending. And it's a great plan from the villain. Luckily, Peter shows up and Peter's like, no, these guys are with me. And I don't know, Peter's kind of fat in the suit, and he's got some big balls or something.
Yeah, he's got a big old bulge.
And everybody looks at his bulge, and that's what gets big.
And everybody's automatically in love with him.
So his balls and bulge are amazing.
He's like,
it's not because of his balls. Everyone just loves Peter.
It's his confidence.
And like they said every Deadpool.
I thought it was because you remember the chick from the Loki TV series.
She likes his balls.
She likes his balls. She's like, you look good in those suits.
Yeah.
She wants
He's
balls.
Like, my eyes are up here.
Yeah,
ladies.
excuse me, ma'am. No, every Deadpool has a Peter, and it's like, look, this is like their special dude.
Every Deadpool has a Bob.
It's their like sidekick. Like
Peter's the
sidekick.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this version of Wolverine, who is he?
He's the worst Wolverine
ever.
Why?
He abandoned the X-Men and then they all died.
He was drinking, and you see
and the way he tells the story is a little awkward here. He was like, all the humans came. And it's like, what? Why do you say? I guess in his universe, maybe the humans are kind of flipped and the mutants, the mutants, you know, this kind of stuff.
Like, how did they kill them all?
Well, they have those guns. I mean, they're playing with a lot of stuff where, like, they've got those, like, super powerful guns that, like, zap away your powers or just incapacitate.
Yeah, you would think that the X-Men would whoop any humans' asses that show up, but maybe they were overwhelming force.
Sentinels and stuff, too.
We're like, motherfucker, what could have you done? If fucking Charles Xavier couldn't stop him, what could have you... I mean, I guess Wolverine is a super fighter, but...
And he shows up, and he sees they're all dead. You don't ever get to see it, because I guess that's a lot of money. But he was out drinking. He comes back. He sees everybody dead, and he just starts killing. So he kills the bad guys. Then he just keeps killing. He's now in the killing good guys, and who knows? In that world, he was, I don't know,
Berserker
probably
mode.
ripped up the White House and fucking kept going, destroyed anybody who stood in his way and took over.
Berserker mode.
Or not necessarily took over because he's a loner and he would just go off drinking into a bar. But if you got in his way, then that's it. So that was his shame, and you get that sequence from Cassandra kind of you know, probing his mind. But I like that because he uses it as a way, because she's so fascinated with this Wolverine, uses it as a way to distract her, to kill her.
Yeah.
She's like, I got you. You can join me. And he's like, I got you.
We can't forget the Hulk cameo. That was really, really cool.
Man, they fucking MCU still having problems on fucking Hulk, man. What is with the disrespect and the I don't know. Hulk is just like, it's like their bastard child that they don't really care about or something. You don't even get to see him.
No, you can see him in this.
You hear him. You hear
I mean, not for, you know, you see all these other characters and he's in there for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, because Deadpool's trying to recruit a Wolverine. He needs a Wolverine to save his universe. And so he visits a bunch, like Wolverine at the end of time. There's old man. There's old man Logan.
So much in this
There's
movie.
so much stuff
about that.
But then he shows up and he sees Wolverine. He's like, and he's like, cool, you're wearing the tan and the brown. And
when you fought
Hulk, didn't you wear that when you fought Hulk? And then Hulk is behind him, and
oh, because
it was
Henry
so
Cavill.
Cool. Not only there's so much in here. So not only did we see the yellow and blue. We saw the brown and yellow. The brown. It's just brown
So
and
much,
orange.
But he gets torn in half.
It's fucking crazy. And then at one moment. He sees a Wolverine working on a motorcycle, and he sees how big his biceps are, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is the one. This is the right one. He turns around, and it's Henry Cavill. He's like, what? And he calls him Henry Cavill.
He's like, you're the Henry Cavill Wolverine?
Yeah.
Disney made it happen.
Cavalrine.
Yeah.
And so, somehow that was not spoiled for me, so that was amazing to see. Because obviously we love Henry Cavill, and I'm sure Joe is gonna cream his pants when he sees that, because Joe has this unhealthy obsession with. And to be honest, even I was like, oh, when Superman comes around the corner that first time. Remember when his shirt is off in Man of Steel? Because this man, it's like you just have so much. Look at that. That's amazing, and that actually happens in this film too. At one point. So the final climax is Cassandra Nova, she's a crazy bitch, okay? This is the weakness of the film, because, what's her motivation? Number one, she's just exiling herself to the void. Go ahead.
So she has a partnership with the dude at the TVA saying, look, I get to live in the void. I get to do whatever I want, because she's practically a god in the void.
She's happy.
And she's like,
you
pair the people that you want. You got to do whatever you want, but you leave the void alone. And he wants to take over all the universes, and they're both happy. The guy, Paradox, kind of violates that by saying, look, you have to make sure that you stop these two. And so she gets pissed and says, fine, you have breached the void. I'm going to come over here. And she comes over to the real world to take control.
Figures out his plan, which is this machine that tears universes apart.
Timelines across. And so she's like, I'm going to destroy every timeline, and I'm going to go back to the void where I'm a god, and all of you get to die, and then I will go back to be a god.
So she puts her hands in the machine, and she's reversing the action. Instead of just killing one timeline, she's destroying
matter and antimatter.
So they realize that, we need to make this connection. There needs to be one person who can form the connection, but they're going to blow up, and they're going to die for good. They try to make it clear you're not going to be a variant, you're not going to be this, you're not going to come back. It's over for you. And so they have a conversation. Obviously, Deadpool has friends, and those are shown throughout the whole film. They've got all his old buddies from the past one, the rock star chick that's like, a rebel and this and that, and the nice guy and all his friends. And so Wolverine's like, I got nobody. Let me do this, And there was this great scene with X-23 and Wolverine at campfire that, she makes a point to him. It's like, yeah, but you're always the wrong one, but it's like, you're our wrong one. You're the one that, when it matters most, that's when you're there.
She's like, you're the wrong one till you're not.
Yeah, and then he gets that in his head. And so this was his thing. So, but Deadpool tricks him at the last moment and knocks him out. And he goes in instead, and again, great, funny scene. He's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself, or maybe I'm Spock. I don't know. And then he does the Superman thing, and then he walks down the stairs. And this is great. I just love this humor. But Wolverine is strong as fuck, and so he's like bashing the door down at the same time that Deadpool realizes he can't really reach, and the meter's going down and it might not happen, and then of course what's happened. Yeah. Both of the characters, Wolverine forms the connection, the missing piece, and they both are in the form the connection and save the universe. And they live. But as that's happening, they get infused with the power of the universes. I don't know. They're overloaded in some way, so it bursts off Wolverine's clothes. And I was like, I had that moment. The Henry Cavill coming around the corner, that's that moment. And even Deadpool had that moment.
He's like, looks down, it's like, God damn.
Even though he's in excruciating, atomizing pain, he can still do his Deadpool stuff.
But he had to work really hard on that. Like, he was in really good shape.
I'm fucking sure some of that CGI at his age, but I guess not, because later on they do he shows up, and that don't look CGI. But they got they might have CGI'd some of his hair on there, because it is like, you know, Wolverine hairy, which does remind me of yet another. So there's just so much packed in the film. So I remember the brown Wolverine. We visit a ton of other Wolverines, and one of them is the comic accurate height of Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
he's like fucking like 5'3", and he's supposed to be like 5'3" or 2" or something like that. But this looked like he was 4'6" or something. Like, and he was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Oh, what is it? You cute little thing." Oh, it's so great.
There's so much in it. It's so great.
But yeah, he was hairy as fuck, and then so
you're saying it's legendary. Just that it's packed, so much stuff packed in
there. You go.
We're
gonna convince you to come up to us.
That's fine.
If the villains were better,
agreed,
and then they didn't have the multiverse bullshit,
and then these other comic book versions of Wolverine, one with a fucking huge hairy mane and just going at it and being almost a feral animal. So a bunch of different versions of Wolverine. There was even a spy. I'm sure this is from the comic spy agent version, who probably went on to because this was
eye patch guy,
special forces kind of thing. So much packed in here. So then you had so Mr. Paradox. You're saying, wait a minute, I thought the TVA, like, when is this? I don't really know. It looks like it's the TVA post Loki.
Yeah.
They never mention Loki. They never even reference that he's in charge.
Yeah, they show him.
It's more the chick in charge from the TV show. I forget her name, T23 or what, whatever. And but everything that Mr. Paradox does, he has autonomy, and he's like fucked up. And Deadpool's like, "Oh, I see what y'all are doing here. Y'all aren't even telling the men upstairs what's going on."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm doing what
running an underground operation."
But really, it was just a clever way to use what was already being developed in the MCU to bring in these two characters.
Yeah.
Now, so by the end of the film, so if they make the connection in the universe-ending machine and the machine explodes, and they say, "Well, you're not coming back from it," and then they're all sad, but then they walk around the corner, and Mr. Paradox is like, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
And they never explain it.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Well, they said that any person that touches both matter and antimatter would die, but one of them only touches matter, the other one touches antimatter, and through the power of hand-holding is what they said.
Shit,
that's
right.
literally what they said.
Okay, so it is explained. I forgot about that part. That's right. Okay. But I just love the moment where he's like, "Those two are dead," and then
they died as heroes.
They died as heroes.
And then Deadpool says something horrible, and he goes, "Fuck!"
Okay. And they come around the corner again, but the gratuitous slow walk around the corner. But I don't care, because it's fucking Wolverine in his mask looks so good.
In his mask, he's got no shirt on, and all of the people, even like all the ladies, are looking at him.
They're like, "To put a shirt back on."
And Angry Joe and Other Joe and Alex and Patrick, y'all were like, "I wish." I
definitely
had that.
envy, but it was like, why the whole reason that evil British time guy did it was so that he could be he could be the time variance agent.
He wants to do good in his job.
He wants to take over.
He wants to go back to so they do kind of link it to Loki, right? So when Loki happened, they stopped doing the whole pruning timeline. So they mentioned that they don't prune timelines anymore. Yeah. They've worked around it. And he's like, "Fuck that. We need to prune timelines. I'm tired of all this bullshit. Yeah. We need to go back to ruling with an iron fist." And so this is his test to see if he can go back to start pruning timelines. It doesn't explain why he wants to do it, but that's what he says. Yeah. He's like, "I want to start pruning timelines again like we used to."
Yeah.
Yes, sir. My God. So Deadpool 2016, Deadpool 2 2018. It took, another 6 years to get this particular one, Deadpool 3. It was worth the wait. It was the right choice, Disney, to go R rating. Yes. It was filled with cameos. It was filled with love for all of the other, comic book type films that came before. I think it's a great time. This is one that critics are going to hate and that fans are going to love. I guarantee it. In fact, before I even came in here, there was no fan rating for it. So we're at an early segment. But now I think Rotten Tomatoes just updated 97. Yeah, I knew.
Sounds right.
I knew that the critics are at like 80, and that'll probably continue to drop as we go along. But I imagine that the fans are going to stay around that 90. So what's the budget here? It was 2 hours and about 2 hours and 6 minutes, something like that. Yeah. Good length. They make a joke about epic length movies at some point. 200 million, so a tiny bit more than Acolyte, and definitely well worth it, and blows that out of the water. So critical response. So now what I'm saying is, like, what do you think? Do we see these characters now in the MCU?
Not unless they make money.
They make jokes. They said, this guy was dead. Fox killed him, but then Disney resurrected him, and now they're going to milk him until he's fucking 90. Is what Ryan Reynolds said.
I mean, it's going to be an Indiana
and I'm like,
Jones
yeah,
situation.
I actually don't mind.
Hugh Jackman retired from playing Wolverine like how many years ago?
Yeah, and
but
they got him back.
He actually said, "I retire," and then he saw something on Ryan Reynolds, and he's like, "Fuck, I should do that with him." And so it's like, I don't think this dude wants to continue to do this. So we're gonna see Wolverine again because he's like the bread and butter of the X-Men, and we know the X-Men are coming. I think that this may be the last ride for Hugh Jackman.
It feels like it, and if it was,
went out on top, man.
I'd be okay.
Yeah. The last two projects that he did, like Super Serious Wolverine, fucking loved it. Super Silly Wolverine, fucking loved it. Like
perfect
send off.
Yeah. Perfect. But their chemistry is so good, and seeing him now as the Wolverine that we always deserved and that we always wanted, and that we're getting, not that one,
okay,
but also that one.
That one was great. That was
but
pretty
also
good.
that one too. I want to see him one more time. I want to see a Deadpool and Wolverine 2. And it's sad that's, because Deadpool has a thing with Spider-Man too, but we'll never get that because Sony.
Yeah.
So I like it with Deadpool and Wolverine. It's way better because, the actors have that too. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds now, and I love it. And, so, but my guess is that X-Men is so far off that by the time X-Men show up in the MCU, Hugh Jackman will be even older. And he says it's harder to get in shape, and I respect that fucking man because he is in shape for this.
Shape, yeah.
He respected that. He did not laze out on it. And but if the new X-Men aren't coming out for another 10 years, 15 years, I don't think he can continue to do it. So we will end up having an inferior Wolverine at some point. Because to me, this man is a legend.
Try to reboot.
There is no better Wolverine than this. It's basically like if you try to do another Wolverine, it's like Han Solo, right? There was Harrison Ford as Han Solo, and then there was the other guy.
Who do y'all think would be good as Wolverine as a reboot? Can you think of anybody?
I mean, people didn't know who Hugh Jackman was doing like musicals and some other things, so he was kind of a relative unknown. So like, there's probably a shorter, hairy dude that can get ripped to shit.
I'm sure that the only way they're going to do it is he will look a lot more like Wolverine. It'll be a lot more comic accurate from the beginning, and that's the juicy part. That's the one good part. But the range, I mean, like, to have Hugh Jackman, who is a Broadway motherfucking star, multi-talented, sing, dance, act, and then also be a comic book fucking hero that is Wolverine.
And that was one of his like first breakout roles, right? Like, it was like, because he was on the ending credits, you saw how young he was, and talking about like how he felt like he had the. Like,
he was scared to do Wolverine.
Yeah, because he felt like he had everything on his back. You know, like.
And he did.
So, and he pulled it off, man.
Better part of those older movies.
Yeah.
Anything else? Because there was a ton in here.
Oh my god, just jam packed. It was. Then that's why the movie
Vanessa
went by so
didn't.
fast.
Vanessa at some point, like, I don't know, man. She was like, I don't want to be with you no more because you have no ambition or something. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
And then in his head, like, he's the one that broke up with, like, he's the one
y'all
that
are supposed to be soulmates. You know, it's like, what is this conditional? Like, I got to do this and that. Like, what? Yeah. But they film it in a way and they write it in a way. This is when you know you have good writers. It's like, I want the best. You know, it's like, I want you to be the best you can be. Is how they play it. But it's like, all right, it's a Vanessa thing, so he has to pretty much do all of this. He wants to join the Avengers, so we get a cameo from Happy, who, is, I guess, interviewing him for the Avengers, so that's a funny scene. And then it's like teasing Tony Stark. He doesn't do cameos anymore? No, I do the So there was that. And what else? Yeah, man. We covered quite a bit of it here.
I'm sure we forgot something. There was so much.
I don't want to forget anything. We've already gone long. I'm probably going to separate this into 2 videos, a non-spoiler and then our spoilers discussion, which is why we don't really have to rush too much if you can think of anything else. Oh, they did ride a shitty Sentinel leg at one point to get out of the little area. Yeah, Wolverine does his like claw swipe, and he's like, get on, and then Deadpool and him fly out to escape the first time from Cassandra Nova. Also, it was really cool how initially powerful she is. At any moment, she could just kill anybody.
Oh, I just remembered something.
Yeah, and then she knocks Wolverine down up into the fucking sand, and then just drags his body through the sand. But as a perfect Wolverine moment, Wolverine just can't stop him. He comes back and he fucking claws her, and Deadpool throws his little mini knife, and they laugh at her. They got her, and then she laughs at them.
There was the time where, the Paradox is like trying to talk Deadpool into and showing all the different timelines.
Oh, right.
With Thor.
Yeah.
And he's like, Thor is like, cause
crying
he's like,
over his body.
Yeah, crying over his body.
So we saw the past. We saw Logan. We saw Avengers on the screen. These much better. And there's a funny bit where one of the workers is in the pit, and he's just like in awe of Deadpool. Yeah. And at some point, Deadpool falls on him with his butt, and he's just like looking at it. But you're right. One of the things is Deadpool's so excited to join the MCU because he's like important in some way. Yeah. Now, I think they actually used older footage of Thor because it looks like an older Chris Hemsworth or younger Chris Hemsworth and superimposed this footage of Deadpool in there. So I don't actually know if we are going to get to that point at some point, or they could just be like, well, that's an alternate timeline. That's a variant timeline. Don't look at that. Or if we are eventually going to get a Thor, 4, 5, whatever, where Deadpool is in some way connected to Thor. I think it's just a joke, but it's still fun.
Yeah, it's just like the film's just filled with all those little fun little snippets.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and then him getting his suit made, and then the tailor's constantly grabbing his dick. And he leaves the room. He's like, "You got a great tailor, but he is a predator." And it's just like,
oh, I love it. Yeah. Love it. It's well done. These jokes are well done. And I wish it was a mention of Spider-Man. I think they could have dropped that at some point.
He did this a bunch of times. Yeah, so he's sitting in the car, and he's just like, he can't talk about him, but so he's doing things, and Logan's like, stop.
Oh, that's right, because of the so there was.
Don't mention it.
There was. Yeah. What else? I would have liked a mention of Loki, too, but I guess they're keeping that under wraps. Maybe nobody's supposed to know that Loki's actually in control of the TVA at this point. Deadpool even references the exact episode, the exact season and episode that you need to watch in order to understand, because he's meta as fuck. And okay, I think we fucking got it.
We did it.
And the Dodge Caravans suck, or no? What are they? Honda Odysseys suck, but no, actually they're fire.
The Kia, yeah. Because they wanted the Kia in there.
Oh, the Kias, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not getting the minivans. It's fine with me.
But this is the comment. The bucket is too small. The head is just too small. I guess it's that we can have. Oh, wow. You can put one helmet on another helmet. There you go. So there should have been a Halo Deadpool since the show is over. Yeah. And at least they're going to try to shop the show around. We'll see if it ends up at Disney Plus. That's where it'll end up. No. More likely, Netflix or HBO, or probably just Dead for Good, like Raised by Wolves, which hurts me because I wanted that. I wanted to see the conclusion of that. But all right, well, a win for the MCU. Next up, they have a TV show, WandaVision spinoff called Agatha. All along.
Captain America's.
And the next movie is Captain America with Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk. So MCU hasn't had a good track record on the Hulk. So it's going to be hilarious. Red Hulk is going to be even better than Hulk.
Well, Red Hulk always kind of beat Hulk, except he's supposed to be better, except for fire bad, and he overheats, and then he has to take a nap.
Yeah.
Just have a little rest.
In that movie. Of a rest. Yeah. And I don't know, the trailers didn't really excite me all that much. I mean, it looks kind of solid, but it's like, we kind of had that already. The whole it's called Winter Soldier, where there's a conspiracy, and you know the good guys are actually there's something happening, and they turn out to be bad guys, and they're hiding in the government.
Say the code words.
It's like, well, we just did that. It's like, all right, well, maybe they'll be able to do it again better. I don't know. I don't think so, but that's what's coming up next. Let us know, man. What did you really enjoy? What was your favorite part? And do you agree with this? Is it fucking awesome? Or, you know, maybe you didn't like it. Tell us what you didn't like about it. But ultimately, I think other than the villains, I'd say if we do get another team up between these two, it'd be cool to see, you know, them go up against a big threat or somebody. That
having two regen guys, guys that are regenerative is cool.
Or that ties more into their stories. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Put your ideas down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will go out to the theaters and see this one. Please support it. Because it is an R-rated film, and that audience is going to be smaller and smaller. So we want to send the message to the MCU and to Disney that more of this. Because you can't do this if it's not R. It just doesn't. It wouldn't be Deadpool. It wouldn't be the right Wolverine. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.